Hi y'all, I am Cicely Renee and this is my art studio, aka my apartment. I am so excited that you're here and that you grabbed the mini Christmas pack of watercolor painting that I created. I drew them in my little sketchbook, which is over there. And then I did it on the iPad so I can have some crisp, clear lines. And then I was able to print them out on watercolor paper just for you all. And so you're gonna see a little, it's not too much of a tutorial, but you'll see some tips and tricks and things that I like to do when I'm watercoloring. But I want you to make this experience your own and go slowly, okay? Enjoy the process. Learn about who you are when you're painting. And so, yeah, let's go ahead and get this started. So here you'll see my process, my digital replay of how I created your paintings. And so I start off with a mock-up in my sketchbook and then I take it to the iPad. And the process, the journey is really cool because you get to see what stays and what does not stay, like what works, what does not work. And, just finding your groove. It can take a while to find that groove. But I had an amazing time creating these. I had a lot of fun. And so what you're going to get is these watercolor pages with my design on there. And I want you to know that, it's meant to disappear, and so that it's just kind of like guidelines for you. And so if you're like, oh, I put water on there and it disappeared, that's okay. We want you to make it your own. And so here we're going to take it from the iPad and then you'll see it in paper format. And so it's on watercolor paper. Each sheet you get 4 pages that are 5 by 7 inches, and so they're mini paintings, so you don't get overwhelmed. So let's go ahead and talk about supplies. So you definitely need water because this is watercolor paintings, and so I typically have 2 jars, one to clean my brush and one to get clean water to add to my paints. Another thing I absolutely love having is a porcelain plate. And so when I give you your kit, you'll have, paint drops on a hard cardstock photo. So what I would typically do is dip your brush in gently and grab a little bit. A little goes a long way. And so I tend to do mixed media painting. So we have the watercolor, we use, what are they called? Colored pencils. And my favorite is the pen and the brush. And so my favorite watercolor brush right now is this Hemi brand, size 4, round. And it has a really pointy tip, but then you can use it as a big flat base as well. And so it's very versatile. And I painted all of these with that one brush. And so if you can find a, small brush that has a thick base, you're winning, okay? And so let's go ahead and tap into our paintings. Again, you have 4. And what's going to happen is that, these outlines, the prints that I created for you, they're just guidelines. And so if you add water to it, it's going to disappear. So I would definitely be careful with putting too much water on there. But also know that they are not supposed to stay, right? It's just a guideline. And so you want to make it your own. And so you have the outline, but then you can add like a background. You can add extra things to it. And so I want you to really just enjoy the process. And so here are some of the pens that I will be using for my art pieces. And I'll link them in the description below as well. But I love the brush pen because it gives that illustrative look. And so some tips that I want to give you. So like you have the colors that I have provided, but you can definitely use your own. And you're going to want to learn how to mix. So there is a little guide on there to talk about mixing colors. But one thing about watercolor is that the more water you add, the transparent it becomes, right? And so you want to start off light and not dark, because it's hard. You can't go back from dark to light. You can go from light and add, darker elements to give it more detail and depth. So just keep that in mind. So with a card that you'll get, you want to drop water, just a little piece of water, on the color dot, and let it sit there for about 2 minutes so that it can awaken. And so I would have two, so you'll have the palette that I give you, but you can also have that porcelain plate, so you can stick your paintbrush in the paint and put it on the porcelain plate so that you can have a bigger palette to play with. And so again, a little goes a long way. And so you can see I'm not using a lot of paint, but it is still going. And with this brush that I'm using, you see how I flatten it, but then there's like a fine tip point as well. I just love this brush, you guys. And so I would definitely try and find this type of brush. So like a round 4 with a little pointy tip. And so that is very versatile with different paintings. So you'll see me be able to do the flat leaves, the wide leaves, but then also you'll see me be able to do the thin line of the wreath. And so, yeah, I love this paintbrush. One technique that I love to use when I'm watercoloring is leaving white spaces. And so it just kind of gives it that illustrative look. And at the end, when you use the black pen, it gives it that illustrative look as well. And so again, you do not have to be perfect. It doesn't have to fit in the lines. In fact, go outside the lines. Make it your own, okay? So you see how I'm using the tip of it to do a fine line. And so you want to, just kind of practice on a regular sheet paper so you can see how your strokes, right? So how heavy-handed are you? Can you go light? And again, so with this watercolor painting, you do not have to rush. You can go as slow as you want. In fact, you should go really slowly, okay? Do not rush the process. Really enjoy it and learn from it. You get to see what happens. If I press hard, what happens? If I press lightly, if I move this way and that way, learn your style, if you will. So I'm really excited about this Christmas kit. I've been seeing people make watercolor kits, and I'm like, I want to do one too. And so this will be my first one. So I really, really, really hope that you like it and enjoy it. And I would love your feedback because this is the first one. And so I would like to do more, but I would like to get better. I want to get so much better. So you want to use the color pencils and the pens and the brush to give it more depth and detail. And you can turn these paintings into cards, rip off the corners, and yeah. Well, thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was helpful for you in this process. Just a reminder, if you are part of the Patreon community that's linked in the description below, you get these digital for free. And so if you want to print it out on regular paper, you can do so. If you want to print it on watercolor paper, you can do so. But it's only for the Patreon members, which is only $3 a month. And so let me know your thoughts in the comments below, how it went. Tag me if you paint these and post it on social media. And a few different things that you can do with these paintings. You can frame them. You can also use it as a greeting card. And so you can tear the border like I did on the last one. And then you can glue it onto a plain envelope, or not envelope, but card. And you can get that at Hobby Lobby, or you can get cardstock, fold it in half, and then glue it on top. You can be really creative. You could just give it away to someone, write a note on the back, use it as a bookmark. enjoy it. All right. All right. Peace and blessings.